My son had a fever, so I held him and hurried to the hospital. After registering and seeing a doctor, I never expected that the attending doctor would be my ex-boyfriend, Duan Yunchu. He looked up at me and the child and asked casually mine. I laughed angrily and retorted, "What a joke, which part of him looks like you?" Duan Yunchu put down the medical record, stared at the child's face seriously, and said firmly his eyes, nose, and mouth all look quite like me. My heart skipped a beat, but I forced myself to stay calm. It had been a year since we broke up, and we met again in such an unexpected way. Duan Yunchu leaned back in his chair and said sarcastically, "It's been a year since we broke up, and the child is 2 months old?" And willing to show weakness, I deliberately provoked him. "Yes. The night we broke up, I was with my backup. He's much better than you." Duan Yunchu's face instantly darkened, so dark that it was visible to the naked eye. He flipped through the child's medical record and said mockingly, "A child has the mother's antibodies before 6 months old. He has a fever at only 2 months old. You're really something." Last night, I was intimate with my husband and accidentally kicked off the child's quilt. If you can treat him, treat him. If not, I'll register with another doctor. I replied angrily. Duan Yunchu frowned slightly, glanced at me, and softened his tone. "The child has a high fever and needs an IV drip. Go wait in the lobby." I didn't want to entanglement with him anymore. After he wrote the prescription, I held the child and turned to leave. But his voice came from behind. "This is my WeChat, add me. If there's any problem with the child later, contact me via WeChat." He pushed his phone in front of me, but his eyes were fixed on the computer screen, pretending to be business-like. I was still angry and firmly refused. "No need. I'll find another doctor if necessary." Fortunately, the child was treated in time and didn't develop pneumonia. My mother had only been gone for 2 days to take care of my grandma, and I had already made the child sick. I felt full of self-blame. After the IV drip, my best friend Su Nguyen came to pick me up. I told her about meeting Duan Yunchu in the hospital. Su Nguyen cursed on the spot, "This heartless playboy. How dare he still be alive? Which consulting room is he in? I'll go curse him." I quickly pulled her back. "It's all in the past. We each have our own lives now. Leave him alone." Su Nguyen looked at me worriedly. "Is it really in the past? But you haven't had a boyfriend until now." I laughed it off. "I have my son and you. What do I need a man for?" Su Nguyen patted my shoulder. "That's right. I'll support you two from now on." These 2 days, I stayed with the child day and night, so tired that I was on the verge of collapse. When I got home, Su Nguyen took the initiative to take care of the child and let me rest. But when I lay on the bed, I tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep. The past bits and pieces with Duan Yunchu flooded in like a tide. We met in college. Back then, Su Nguyen had a crush on a student from the medical university and asked me to deliver a love letter for her, but I accidentally sent it to the wrong person, Duan Yunchu. Su Nguyen waited at the place written in the love letter for 4 days. No one showed up. She was heartbroken. To comfort her, I treated her to snail noodles, and accidentally saw a handsome boy sitting in the corner. It was Duan Yunchu. He had just finished playing basketball, covered in sweat, with handsome features and a tall and straight figure, extremely dazzling. He got up to go to the counter, and when he came back, he had a glass of water in his hand. As he passed by me, he accidentally spilled the water on my arm. Su Nguyen screamed in panic, but Duan Yunchu was very worried. He picked me up without hesitation and ran to the school infirmary. In fact, it was just a slight redness. The doctor prescribed some ointment and it was fine. Duan Yunchu obviously breathed a sigh of relief and offered to add my WeChat, saying I could contact him if I felt unwell later. I wanted to refuse, but he directly took my phone and scanned the QR code. His note was Duan Yunchu. Later, I found out that Duan Yunchu was the cold-hearted beauty of the medical university. He had excellent grades, and the girls chasing him could circle the campus 3 times. It was harder to add his WeChat than to reach the sky. But since then, we always met by chance in the cafeteria, library, and public classes, until one night when I came out of the library. Duan Yunshu was waiting for me under the shade of a tree, saying he wanted to treat me to dinner to apologize. We ate snail noodles at the school gate and got to know each other slowly. I found that he was not as cold as the rumors said. He was talkative and humorous, and always reserved a seat for me in the library. Rumors that we were in a relationship gradually spread in the school. The girls who admired Duan Yunshu started targeting me, bumping into me while walking, tearing my books, putting bugs in my meals. I couldn't stand it anymore and began to deliberately distance myself from him. Soon after, I heard that he was in a relationship, and I felt inexplicably sad. Until one late night, he stopped me downstairs in the dormitory, questioning me if I was deliberately ignoring him. He also took out the misplaced love letter, saying he had waited by the pond for a week, but never saw me. Only then did I know the truth and quickly explained that I had sent the letter to the wrong person. But he didn't believe me at all. He pressed me against a big tree, stared at me intently, and said, "So Maya, I've liked you for a long time. The rumors in the school are true, I'm chasing you." I was stunned and asked him, "But don't you have a girlfriend?" He smiled softly, pulled my hand, and said, "I made that up on purpose to see if you would be jealous." Before I could react, he kissed me, with a freshman scent and a faint smell of alcohol. I unexpectedly felt a trace of infatuation. It turned out that I had long been attracted to him, but I didn't dare to show it because he was too excellent. We officially got together. He was very respectful and considerate to me. During college, he never did anything inappropriate except holding hands and hugging. He said that when he had the ability to make me live a worry-free life, he would truly have me. He graduated a year earlier than me and got an internship in a large hospital with his excellent grades. Later, he rented a house, and I moved in with him after I graduated and started my internship. Living a sweet cohabitation life. Whenever he was free, he would cook my favorite dishes himself, remember all anniversaries, and prepare surprises for me. Those days were simple and happy, and I was full of expectations for marrying him. 2 years later, Duan Yunshu was promoted to department director, and his work became more and more busy. We had fewer and fewer opportunities to meet. I met his colleague, who accidentally told me that a new intern named Sun King was pestering him all day and bringing him food. Although I felt uncomfortable, I still chose to trust him. Until one day, I saw a faint lipstick mark on his shirt collar, accompanied by a perfume scent I had never used. My heart skipped a beat, but I didn't question him on the spot. The next day, I went to the hospital on purpose and saw Sun King walking side by side with him, talking and laughing, and entering his office, not coming out for a long time. That night I confronted him. He said Sun King was the daughter of a family friend, and he was asked to help take care of her. He had no feelings for her at all, and he couldn't explain the lipstick mark. I was so angry that I had a big fight with him, but he said impatiently, "Stop making trouble. I'm very tired," and then fell asleep. I was heartbroken, slammed the door and left on the spot, took a taxi to a hotel, only to find that I had forgotten my phone and wallet. Just as I was in a dilemma, I met Li Qingfeng, who had chased me in college. He kindly helped me check into the hotel. The next morning, Li Qingfeng sent me out, and we unexpectedly met Wen Yunshu and Sun King at the hotel gate. When Wen Yunshu saw me with Li Qingfeng, his face turned cold instantly, and he angrily questioned me if I was deliberately trying to make him angry. I was also unwilling to show weakness, mocking him for bringing Sun King to the hotel to show off. Duan Yunshu was about to explain when an emergency call from the hospital came, telling him to rush to treat a patient. Before he left in a hurry, he asked Sun King to explain to me properly. But as soon as he left, Sun King changed her expression and said provocatively that she was Duan Yunshu's fiancée, recognized by both parents. She also took out a ring, saying it was an engagement ring given by Duan Yunshu. She also played a video in which the parents of both families were talking happily in a luxury restaurant. Duan Yunshu was toasting the guests in a suit, and Sun King was standing beside him in a white dress. I was completely heartbroken, smiled and wished them a happy marriage, then took Li Qingfeng's arm and left. That day, I packed up my things, took a train to a new city overnight, and changed all my contact information. A month later, I felt unwell and went to the hospital for a check-up, only to find out that I was pregnant. The doctor said my uterine wall was thin and abortion was not suitable. My parents were also very open-minded and told me to have the child, and they would help me take care of him. I never expected that a year later, I would meet Duan Yunshu again in the hospital of this city. I thought he and Sun King were already married, but he seemed to be single. On the day of the child's examination, I held the child and just went downstairs when I saw Duan Yunshu leaning against his car waiting for me, saying he would take us to the hospital. I firmly refused, but he followed me slowly in his car. I had no choice but to get in his car. In the car, he asked me why does the child's surname on the medical record is Song. He's my son. I can let him have any surname I want. I replied sharply. He asked again, does the child have no father? I snorted, my husband loves me, and let the child take my surname. It's none of your business. Duan Yunshu frowned. Song Maya, your mouth is the hardest in your life. The examination went smoothly, and Duan Yunshu was busy with everything. It suddenly started to rain when we went back, and he sent us home again. The child was very strange. He cried as soon as I held him, and insisted on Duan Yunshu holding him. There was no way, he had to send us upstairs. I didn't want him to enter the house, afraid he would laugh at how messy my room was, but he walked straight in, helped me clean the room, and even cooked dinner. I was extremely tired, sat on the sofa and fell asleep. When I woke up, the room was completely new, and the food was fragrant. Since then, Duan Yunshu came every day helping me cook, clean the house and take care of the child, taking good care of me and my son. I kept saying I wanted to drive him away, but I never took real action. Who would refuse a free nanny? Moreover, he never made excessive demands and left after finishing his work. On Sunday, Sinyuan asked me to meet. She told me that Lu Chuan, the person I rented to pretend to be my husband last time, was a new employee in her company and also Duan Yunshu's cousin. Lu Chuan told her everything. Duan Yunshu was never with Sun King. The so-called engagement was just an ordinary banquet, and the ring was bought by Sun King herself, who staged a scene by herself. After I left, Duan Yunshu looked for me like crazy, missed me so much that he fell ill for half a year. Sun King felt guilty and resigned voluntarily, and later got married. Sunyuan also handed me a notebook saying it was Duan Yunshu's diary which Lu Chuan stole. When I got home, I opened the diary. Every word was about me from the first time he saw me by the window, to the surprise of the misplaced love letter, and the longing and self-blame after I left. Every page was full of deep affection. As I read, my eyes unconsciously moistened. At that moment, Duan Yunshu came back with vegetables. Seeing my red eyes, he quickly put down the vegetables and ran over, nervously asking me what was wrong, and said if I didn't like him coming, he would leave now. Sniffed and whispered, "I'm hungry." He immediately breathed a sigh of relief, smiled and ruffled my hair. "You can even cry from hunger. Smaller than the child. I'll cook right away." Later, Duan Yunshu took the initiative to apply to be transferred to a less busy department, just to take more care of me and the child. On my birthday, I thought he had forgotten, and I felt a little lost, but late at night, he called me and asked me to pick him up from the hotel. When I arrived, I found that the room was decorated like a dream, full of flowers and colored lights, and the big screen was playing photos of us from when we first met, until now. Duan Yunshu walked up to me with flowers and the necklace I had taken a fancy to during the day, and said affectionately, Maya, happy birthday, marry me." His marriage proposal was stumbling and even a bit clumsy, but I was extremely moved. Amidst the booing of his friends, I nodded and agreed to him. When we got home, Duan Yunshu apologized for making me sleep so late and wanted to go back. I hinted that it was raining outside, but he still insisted on leaving. I was depressed, but found that he didn't leave. Instead, he sat by the bed and teased me. If you want to keep me, just say it directly. Before I could refute, he kissed me and said in a low voice, Hayamaya. People who are destined to be together will always find their way back to each other no matter how big the circle is. I've been waiting for you, I love you. I hugged him, tears rolling down again, I love you too. From now on, no matter what happens, we must communicate well and no longer misunderstand each other. A few days later, the parents of both sides sat together to discuss our wedding. Duan Yunshu's parents were very warm to me, and said that if Duan Yunshu dared to bully me, they would be the first to not spare him. Just then, I suddenly felt nauseous and vomited. The elders immediately understood and decided to hold the wedding this month, not waiting for half a year. Half a month later, Duan Yunshu and I held our wedding. On our wedding night, Duan Yunshu lay beside me, dejectedly saying, Is there any groom as miserable as me? On the wedding day, I can only sleep purely. I smiled and said, It's all your fault. He suddenly kissed me and whispered, I miss you all my life. Every meeting is like the first sight. Wife, I love you. At that moment, we looked at each other and there was only each other in our eyes. All misunderstandings and regrets turned into happiness.